of 2021 as our year has arrived. And this is going to be the year of Preach Gaming. It's going to be absolutely
detected.
Awesome.
Error.
Really?
Initiating shutdown.
Oh no.
Preparing upgrade. Prepare for Bants.
Genuine Horror 2021 has arrived and we are kicking it off in style. HD Drama Time. Good God Almighty, HD Drama Time is here and we are about to celebrate in style with a new season of drama with all those wonderful things that make us happy and make us joyous. Look at the work Chris has done. Isn't this cozy? Isn't it cozy? Good God Almighty, it's cozy. We've got a nice fireplace. This is the Goldshire Inn, my friends, where all the drama kicks off in style. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Chris has been waiting for you to unleash his work upon the community. As I said, we prepared many, many things for 2021, and you still have not seen them all. You still have not seen them all. We have many more things to show you, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. It is cozy. It is absolutely the coziest place that we could do. New inn. My shirt is see-through, but it's actually the exact same colors as what the shirt is. Big brain. Big, giant brain. You know what I'm saying? It's exactly the same color as the shirt. It's the exact same color as what is behind me. I tactically planned it in order to make this work. Wonderful, wonderful Happy New Year to you all. I hope you're feeling absolutely awesome. I hope your new year is going to be decent. As dramatic week as it has been, I hope we can all look forward to overall 2021 being a much better year and kicking off in style for every single one of you. We will do our best. That's all I can promise you from me and the team. We all do our best to put smiles on your face as much as humanly possible. That is all I agree to. That is my minimum commitment to you, that we will try and get that done as best as we possibly can. As we start here in the UK in Tier 4 lockdown, kids are being homeschooled again. But that's okay, because it's not going to stop the drama time. Hell no! It is not going to stop the drama time as I open these stories for the first time. But remember, in just a few hours, in fact, under 4 hours from now, I will be sitting down with Max and Tags of Complexity Limit, Scripe and Roger Brown of Echo, and we will be going through the Race to World First with these two absolute monsters of raiding. I will be hosting that later this evening. That is going to be happening. Whoo! It's a got-to-be-there situation. Hopefully it's good. There's been some conflict there in the past, but they all work on the same boat. They all have the same goal. How did everything go for them? What do we see in the future happening with the World First race? All those wonderful things are going to be discussed this evening, so be here exactly where you are right now. If you're on YouTube, though, hello! And you should have that on Sunday, I believe. It will be out on YouTube on Sunday if you can't make the live show. It is understandable. It is understandable that is the case, but don't worry. We do not have the marshmallows because we're going to be adding them over time. So save your marshmallows for drama. We will have them as time goes on. It will be super fine, and we'll have all sorts of fun things for you guys to interact with during drama time. We did a little trial run of it towards the end of the year. We can change all the background and we can HD it all we want, but I cannot spell for the life of me. That is just the absolute negative impact of my dreams. Is that happened? That is the absolute negativity of mine. So our wonderful Methuselah from our community, who has joined the team, has prepared these stories for us. She has decided this is the opening gambit for 2021 drama time. And the first story I see is the Guild Slayer. The Guild Slayer is going to be our first story of 2021. Hopefully this is going to be wonderful. Hi, YouTube. Hello. All right, I have a gnome priest, a redneck, and a large Mexican. Okay, that's the description I've been given. So we've got Togus, who's a gnome priest. We will have Chaz, all these names, of course, drawn from Patreon and the members of our website in order to support the show. And Braculio. Hello, Braculio, who is a large Mexican. I'm not sure what relevance that has in any way, shape, or form. But we're about to find out, because once again, and the good thing about this new season of drama is I am going in as blind as you with these stories. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. So let's find out. Oh, it looks like we need the jury. Greetings, Preach, and your jury. That's you fellas out there. That is you fellas out there. You shall be the jury. From the post-apocalyptic concrete jungle of New York State. This is a story about how I, the esteemed and occasionally reviled Guild Slayer, I ended up killing multiple guilds in my quest to obtain a 2K RBG rating in Mists of Pandaria. How the hell do you kill a guild with RBGs? Toxic PvPers, man. PvPers are the most toxic. Yeah, he's already guilty. Has been judged. He's already guilty. Okay. I was not on a popular realm. These guilds were amongst the most well-known and respected guilds on the server. The Horde side was dead. Oh, Jesus Christ. Is this Oceanic? Oh, no, he's America. The Horde... What American server has a dead Horde side? There must be one, right? Where all the Alliance play. And the Alliance had only one guild on the entire server that could clear, wait for it, the Heroic Raid. That is some backwater realm you're on. Holy shit. That is like Bayou Swamp territory. That's where you're living right now. There's like... you are in some backwater fucking place. Nobody came here for the intense and competitive raiding scene. No. The people here aspired to something greater than scripted encounters. I already hate you. The PvP. I had a hand in building this PvP community. Oh, I see. Bit of a hero, eh? And then promptly, I killed it. Okay. I was new to the game, having only played a little bit during the Burning Crusade when I was younger. And upon my return, I chose to main a Worgen Rogue. I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing. I'm sure the audience will say it for me. I arrived with little to no game knowledge. But I wouldn't say I was ever a noob. I had been gaming since I was a fetus. True, actually, though. My mother tells stories in Legacy's past of me playing Tetris on her stomach. I am also of that persuasion. Fetus gamers. I took my gaming hobby so seriously, as all PvPers do. Before I even reached the level cap, I had already configured add-ons, keybinded most of my abilities, except for useless ones such as Smoke Bomb. And I had found a friendly guild to call home. Never a noob, really. Couldn't see the power and advantage of Smoke Bomb. You're clicking your Smoke Bomb? Okay. Sure, dude. Upon reaching level 90, I immediately ran Serpent Shrine Cavern and was lucky enough to get almost the entire Death Mantle set on my first run. God, that's what you did as soon as you hit level 90? Serpent Shrine Cavern? The set was so overused that nobody was using it anymore. So I big-brained it and put it back on. I thought I looked like the shit. On a walk... Is that the grey one? With the big fucking stripy shoulders? Is it that one? I feel like it is. Sucks. Fucking sucks, man. Garbage mog. Look, on a Worgen, the mask doesn't cover your entire face. Meaning, if you looked at my character in a certain way, you could see my slavering maw and fangs beneath the mask. Which is how I knew I was ready for PvP. Bad clipping mask. Okay. Having spent most of my teenage years dolphin diving out of windows in Call of Duty, I immediately knew I could care less about WoW's garbage PvE. I googled the best way to get honor and went straight to Tol Barad. You gotta call PvE and you're off to Tol Barad? Okay, bro. Alright, dude. My gear was, of course, terrible, but my transmog was on point. I could do anything I wanted. I wandered around in stealth, of course, learning the lay of the land and finding these moments in the map where I could launch on the filthy horde. After a while of sneaking around in the rain, I concluded there are no horde on my server. It's just me and 4 other people who had queued for Tol Barad. We were all sitting in the main fort, practically AFK. Good shit, dude. Awesome. Despite my initial disappointment, of course, this is not the PvP I lusted for, I knew a lucrative opportunity when I smelled one with my Death Mantle mask covered snout. This mog is shit. I'm just double checking. Death Mantle. It's garbage, right? I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong, am I? It's the shit grey one, right? It is. It totally is. It's the skull helmet, man. It's not cool at all. It's the skull helmet. You look like Skeletor's penis. You look like shit. It's a crap mog. Get it fixed. Alright? It's bobbins. It's turbo shit. It looks... If you're wearing that with the helm, you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. Every 2 hours, I would queue up for Tol Barad. Then, I would heroically sit AFK in the main fortress and collect my free honor. I would drop a guild banner right before the game ended for maximum efficiency. Sometimes, a brave horde, just one, would enter the fort. The disturbance in the force would cause everyone to immediately close their Fur Affinity tabs. What's Fur Affinity? I feel like you've debated me. Is this some sort of furry thing? What's Fur Affinity? Have I been debated? I'm Googling it. Have I been fucking debated? Furaffinity.net. For all things fluffy, scaled, and feathered. You son of a bitch. Bex. You fucking dickhead. I did not need to know that. I did not need to fucking know that. We would close our Fur Affinity tabs. I'm not clicking it. No, I'm not. You're right. I wouldn't click it. We would close our Fur Affinity tabs and promptly delete the intruder. And in the Bukaki circle we formed around the regretful horde, I began to notice something. I was with the same people every single time. 2 pandas and 2 wargans. What is this, Bex? I have been fucking debated. Okay. Alright. Oh my god. Okay. This is supposed to be about PvP! Oh my god. Okay, this is why... I forgot what it was like to go in blind to these stories and see the horror unfold in front of my own eyes. Be brave, Mike. It's a fresh year. It's a fresh season. We never queued together or anything. They just happened to be the only people on the server who did Tol Barad. They aren't too important to this story, but I eventually befriended them. They took a strange liking to me almost immediately. I wonder why. And I was invited into their private Skype group. You may have noticed my exceptionally subtle hints. Yeah. Well, if you couldn't already guess, they were furries. Of course they were. But they weren't your average furries. These were, in their own words, advanced furries. What in the fuck does that mean? What in the fuck? They were artists, you see. They would receive commissions from their followers and post their art to their respective DeviantArt pages. The majority of their art was NSFW. This isn't really relevant, but one of them really liked drawing my Worgen wearing hot pink yoga pants. Here is the picture for reference. I don't know if we can continue like this, Bex. This is the most garbage shit I've ever seen in my life. Oh shit, you can't see it. Hold on. I need to share. Sorry, audio listeners, but it's literally a Worgen wearing death mantle with hot pink pants. I'm pretty sure that's just from WoW Model Viewer. I mean, that's just tragically bad. It's terrible. It's so bad. Okay. This is a 3D model of my Worgen Rogue with the hot pink yoga pants. Okay, so you've got it in 3D. All right. But anyway, not to distract, I began queuing with them for random BGs. Noticing I was a pretty good player, of course, them smoke bombs though, crisp. They asked if they could join my guild. I was extremely active in my guild and was quickly promoted to officer for being one of the people to reach level 90. Purpose guide me. It wasn't a dead guild. There were sometimes 15 people online at a time. Not bad. Pretty good. Sometimes. Hey, you remember that day? Back in the day, there was 15 people at once. This guild just really didn't do anything. And they liked my attitude and how friendly I was. So as a result, I was given the ability to invite anyone I wanted. Wow, really? But my hunger was growing. I was now fully decked out in honor gear. That's right. But I was not satisfied with Tol Barad and random BGs. Oh, no, no, no. I needed more things to do. I spoke to the guild master about perhaps doing achievement runs of old raids. I need more in my life. What about old raids? She agreed enthusiastically. Oh, yes. Make a big day, big day. I had convinced her. Oh, my God. This is huge, actually. This is a big plot twist. Are you ready? I convinced her to make an event on the calendar. But whenever the time would come to do our runs, she never showed up. The other officers didn't seem to mind. They had been in this guild for years. They weren't going to raise a fuss over old raid achievement runs. But I had no such loyalty to this cause. Behind her back, I conspired with her officers, convincing them of their absentee guildmaster's negligence. With her depressed officers and my gang of furries hand in hand, we made a stand and all G quit. Oh no, not from the guild with 15 people sometimes online. I heard of a guild, a paradise as it was described to me, where all the best PvPers on the server had congregated together. I convinced them all to follow me to this promised land that was the guild. Did anybody want to come up with a name for this PvP guild? It was everything I hoped it would be, guys. When I opened that calendar, there were multiple events listed. They had Arena on the calendar, RBGs on the calendar, DeviantArt, I like that actually. Raids, current raids, everything you could hope to do. I quickly became well known in the guild. The guild master, Chaz, and his best friend and most rotund officer, Braculio, became personal friends of mine. The GM of my old guild whispered me one day, saying that I was a betrayer and for stealing her only officers of the guild. She said she had known them for years, and in a matter of weeks I convinced them to follow me instead. I told her to get over it, and she put me on ignore. My reputation on the server started to spread. Like I say, and you can probably tell, it was a small server. We can tell. Everyone knew each other. They were also really, really bad players. They had heard tales of a rogue, quiet yet oddly charming, oh, not to boast, with a skill for PvP far beyond what one would expect from someone with no arena rating. I would accept all duel requests and was legitimately undefeated for quite some time. I was so bold that I would fight paladins who would bubble my sap, mages who would ice block as soon as they so much as smelled me, and hunters with a strong sexual attraction to their S key. I felt like a god amongst men here, and Chaz noticed. He appointed Braculio to lead the first RBG team. One problem though, their RBG team was short one member. They did indeed need a rogue, and I was the man who was called. But first, before we get into the seriousness of RBGs, ladies and gentlemen, the time had come, in his own words, for my ascension. I was still a Worgen, you see. Worgen weren't max for PvP. My gang of furries, which had now grown in size and had become more of a cult in my honor, held an in-game funeral for my Worgen into the Stormwind graveyard. I bid my furry gang goodbye, laid down in the graveyard, and logged out to process my race change. What is this server? Where is it? Because I need to let Blizzard know. I could do that. I'll just send them a little message. They might not act on it, but you know what I mean? I think it needs to go. It needs to go. It does, right? Do we agree? Can we take a vote? I think this server needs to go. Upon logging back in, I rose from that graveyard reborn. I was now a human rogue. I mounted my trusty night elf druid steed and rode into the city, a brand new man. Of course, I needed a new transmog to go with my race change. Of course, goes without saying. The Ulduar Terrorblade set, with a cursed vision of Sargeras blindfold. The Hakari Twin Blades, which were at the time the only daggers in the game that would sheath on your back. With my new transmog, my meta PvP race, I felt that I was finally ready for rated BGs. Are you 11 years old? You can tell me. I won't judge, but it'll make a lot more sense to me. It really will. It went well at first. We hit 1600 rating or so. But eventually, we hit a wall. Braculio was a fantastic leader and target caller. But we had some shitters in the group. Chaz was especially terrible. One night he mentioned in passing that he found it hard to PvP while clicking. After RBGs, I pulled our esteemed guildmaster aside and taught him some basic, easy-to-use keybinds to get him started, to get him rolling. He noticed my helpful nature, both in helping him keybind spells and getting this rated BG monolith back on its feet. Because I had helped him keybind, he promoted me to officer. I was given one task: make the entire RBG team not shit. So I got to work, ladies and gentlemen. My first order of business: kick out the priest, who would sometimes get out-healed by our rep paladin. Again, it's a small server, and I knew only one other priest who did PvP. My boy Toggis. My girl Toggis. I had played with her before, and knew she was exceptional at healing. However, she was an officer in a rival guild, the enemy of my team. The only other guild in the server with a concrete, balls to the wall RBG squad. The poaching must begin. One night I slid into her DMs, nice and easy like. Twos, mate? Twos? Want to do some twos, mate? With me? Look at my mug! Hakari Twin Blades! Do you know about how they sheath? Twos, then. Twos. It went well. We had a good time. After we're finished, we talked outside the auction house in Stormwind, real subtle like. We talked about our guilds, RBG teams. I learned that their guild master was taking some time away from the game for personal reasons, eventually leaving Toggis in charge of the guild while he was gone. I learned that Toggis was recently divorced, in quite an ugly manner involving police that made it to the news where she lives, and her ex-husband was now in prison. This is where I saw an opportunity. What are you? The devil? Are you the devil? I feel like you're the devil. There comes a... Oh, wait. We have some wisdom from our author here. A question for you, audience. There comes a time in every man's life where we question our true place in the world. What are we interested in? What are our hobbies? Who are our true friends? Should we go to college, or is the employee discount at Pizza Hut too good to pass up? Should we take advantage of a recent divorcee in order to get her onto our RBG team? These are the questions that define us. And my answer is absolutely, we should. So I started feigning a romantic interest in this woman. I swept her off her feet with my charisma and backsheathing daggers. Is this a fandom you wrote? I kept our relationship a secret, of course, and my plan worked. Eventually, she left her guild. With their pseudo GM and best healer gone, their entire guild collapsed overnight. She, along with some refugees of that ruined guild, joined DeviantArt. Now that we had strong healers then, the team is looking better. It was time to shift my focus to the DPS. First things first, Chaz the Clicker has to go. He understood, or at least made believe he did. He went to go focus on PvE instead, but he never logged in as often since I removed him from his own team. Braculio remained our target caller for a little while, but his attendance became a problem. He just didn't seem to have that commitment to the RBG team that we demanded. He would sometimes turn up late, or not at all. I consider this a big deal. If he didn't show up, we don't RBG. And if we don't RBG, we don't get rating. Meaning none of our members can cap Conquest for the entire week. So something had to be done. I had learned that Death Knights were the best target callers. They could call a target, grip them, so we could kill them. After some searching, I found someone. A quiet man. His IRL image looks suspiciously like James from Twilight. Who knows what James from Twilight looks like? Oh yeah, you remember James from Twilight? Hey guys, you remember James from Twilight? That big character. I've seen Twilight. I don't know who James is. He would accidentally mute himself sometimes, but his calls were on point. The muted shot caller. Metal. That's metal to the call. Of course. We've got a muted shot caller. He was good enough. Braculio was out. James from Twilight is in. Oh my god, you sent me a picture. Okay. Thanks. I now know who James from Twilight is. I do remember him, actually. This is, for those of you who are unfamiliar, this is James from Twilight. Yeah? This guy. Vampire. Yeah? Definitely a vampire. You can tell because he's got that gloomy look about him. Yeah? Definitely a vampire. You can see the gloomy face. Gotta be a vampire. Mm-hmm. Upon logging in for the RBGs and realizing he'd been replaced, Braculio raged at me in guild chat. I stayed calm and carefully presented evidence and made him out to be the bad guy in the eyes of the guild. And he left. The team was now mine, in its entirety, even if they didn't know it. I bullied our Rep Paladin into leaving, because Rep was useless in RBGs. He had a meltdown in the middle of a match and left the group and the guild in such quick succession that to this day I swear he had a macro designed to get out. Having obtained or otherwise stolen all of the quality players on the server, the only place left to look for the final members was LFG. We filled out our remaining spots and I managed to find a Guardian Druid was willing to take up the mantle of team leader. We were golden. The new season began and the ranks began to climb. 1500, 1600, 17, 18, 19. I felt on top of the world. I was so close to 2k in that glorious elite rogue transmog. But then that day came. Our GM Chaz logged in after a prolonged absence and whispered me. Bruh, why is half our RBG group pugs, bruh? Fuck. I had forgotten I was still an officer. Guild RBGs were my job. I set up another RBG group on the calendar, make sure to put them on different days from my actual RBG team. I instead decided to play coy. I would go on the guild RBG events on my alt, my warrior. I would even let Chaz come. To fill spots, I grabbed a few people from my furry old school friends who had little to no rated PV experience, and the GM seemed happy that I was actually doing some sort of guild inclusion. But I wasn't happy. My own proper team was now hard stuck at 1900. Every time we would get to 1990, one win away from that 2k, we would queue against people who were definitely hackers or worse. And for those that don't know, you ready for an education? For those that don't know, RBGs were the Wild West of WoW PvP. Exploiters and hackers were rampant. It was really the only place they were still present. It was commonplace to see a flying warlock or two raining chaos bolts upon you from 30 yards in the air, or watching a druid pick up your flag in Warsong, only to phase through the map and stroll back to their base for an easy cap. There was only a handful of legit groups that were above 2k. In fact, they were usually 2300 or higher. The 1900 to 2200 bracket was a wasteland of hackers, paid carries, and piloters. When we didn't queue against hackers at our own rating, we queued against one of the 2300 teams, and they shit on us from a great height. Yeah, none of us would know. The PvP is like, yeah, that actually totally did happen. On the bright side, it was cool to play against so many streamers, so their viewers could watch them graveyard campers. I felt kind of special. Oh man, I'm being graveyard camped on Zayu stream. Awesome. This is awesome. Look, Mom, I'm on TV. Our morale began to waver, though. Week after week of just barely missing the mark. Any close match sparked debate and anger with people pointing blame at one another, each other for failing. It got to the point where me and James from Twilight were the only voices of reason in the group. And soon we found ourselves needing to pug someone every now and then. Eventually, it just all collapsed. All my work. Everything I'd done to this point, bringing together so many people for this singular purpose. And I failed. After seeing her defend me on so many occasions, people began to suspect that Toggis and I were in some sort of relationship. And this was bad. You see, this is written in a different... Hold on. There's a personal message coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's written in a different font. Italics. Begins with 3 asterisks. You see, I was in the guild for a while before I met Toggis. I had no problem sharing some personal details with guild members, including my age, which was 16. Fuck off, you were 16? Bruh. Bruh. You were 16. Toggis was, of course, not aware of this fact. I had told her I was much older in order to secure her for my RBG team. I sent her pictures of my cousin that I found on Facebook, saying it was me. She had sent me explicit pictures on multiple occasions. She was also not technically divorced. There's no technically there. She's not divorced. She had filed for it, but it was a slow process because her husband was in jail. And she couldn't always make court appointments because she had to take care of her daughter. I, of course, could not let this information get out. Well, you just told all of us. A lot of people. You just told all of us. She might know what's going on. I wouldn't say we were ever technically... You keep using this word technically. I wouldn't ever say we were technically dating, but nonetheless, I severed ties with her. She ended up in a relationship with a Guardian Druid, and from what I know, she moved in with him, and they're still together this day. Oh, good job, Toggis. Round of applause for Toggis. She did okay. I eventually ended up pugging my way to 2K. And it was at this point where I realized I had no more use for my guild as I had gotten my transmog. They'd done nothing in my mind but hold me back. Some of my closer friends were going Horde in preparation for Warlords of Draenor, and I decided I'll go Horde too. But first, I needed an exit strategy. I had been in this guild now for over a year. I single-handedly turned it into the largest, most well-respected guild on the server. A lot of pats on the back going on for you there. It was already popular when I first joined, but with me, with my intervention, it had no competition. Anytime a PvP guild would sprout up, I would go to work, taking their good members with promises of RBGs and arenas. I personally carried what felt like half this server through 2s until they were conquest capped to get them into our guild. I even convinced the GM of my old guild, the one I stole the officers from, to join. Though she did put me on ignore again afterwards. There were times where there were over 60 players online at a time in my guild. You built a cesspool guild that couldn't get 2K. You built a swamp, dude. You're like Shrek. You built a swamp. That's what you did. You built a swamp that had 60 players not getting conquest cap. That's what you built. You built a cesspool, an actual cesspool of people just getting conquest cap. That's it. That's all you built. And I knew who all of them were. I poured my life essence into this guild. And now I felt I was owed. They owe me. I'm entitled now. These people owe him. Chaz, the GM would monthly hold Mount Raffles. Why is this in quotation? Mount Raffles. It was one of the few things he still did as guild master. Most people not in our guild just assumed that I was the GM, which I basically was in everything but name, mate. Each player would mail him 1,000 gold, and he would write down their names on a piece of paper. He would throw these papers in a jar and pick one out at random. The winner would get... What is this? I'm going to suggest this to Alex. Alex! I demand a monthly mount raffle. That's what I demand. The winner would get a mount, usually one of the cheap jewel crafting mounts, and the excess gold would be given to the guild bank. Before chat says anything, no. Chaz was a good person. He never cheated or stole or picked favourites. I honestly doubt he was smart enough to even consider doing so. You consider people who lie, steal, and cheat to be smart people. Interesting. Interesting. Huh. Gotcha. Alright, I see where we're coming from. I see where we're something. This month, though, this particular month, Chaz had something special planned. The Crimson Death Charger. At the time, it was worth over 200,000 gold on the auction house. It was by far the most expensive mount in the history of the raffle. This was a very big deal. But the raffle never happened. He failed to set a specific date as to when it would occur, so the mount just sat there in the guild bank. The guild bank that I, an officer, had limitless access to. The Crimson Death Charger had an entire tab dedicated to it, and I looked at it every fucking day. Just to make sure it was still there, of course. And as you know, red is my favourite colour. Things were getting bad. News of my dirty deeds began to spread throughout the server as more and more people started talking to each other. Nightmare. Nothing worse than when people talk to each other, is there? When you're a lying, cheating piece of shit. Bastard. People started to realise that you were talking mad shit all the time. Mental, dude. That's crazy when that happens. People were starting to realise some of the things I had done. I began seeing people name their characters after me. Max level characters too. One day I was chilling in Shrine when an orc windwalker monk with my name covered in accents swept in from above and began dancing in front of me. People started to literally despise me. I started to get a nickname, Fraud. Well, it's not creative, but it works. Oh, it's the Fraud. Oh. That my arena rating was so low because I was actually bad. And all I could do was cap conquest in twos. That I was the one who was being carried to 2k in RBGs because of all the recruitment I did. An entire guild was made. Frodo Baggins. A guild was made. Named after DeviantArt. Whose sole purpose was to troll me and members of DeviantArt into submission. It all culminated in someone I didn't recognize sharing my real name, address, and phone number in trade chat. So it was time to go. I took the Crimson Death Charger, no bullshit. I ripped it from that guild bank, learned it immediately. Chaz was of course furious. He called me a thief and a traitor. He said Braculio was right all along about me. They were best friends after all until I arrived. I was promptly kicked from the guild. Those still loyal to me left the guild as well, under the idea that I hadn't done anything wrong. Including my furry friends and some of my own former RBG team. I even paid gold to some randoms to get them to leave just to prove a point. Why? What point? What point did you prove? Oh my god. You're so fucking stupid. It's like painful. It's so dumb. Oh! Thanks for being a fan of the show. With 2 officers and most of their active members gone, the guild was no more active. Chaz quit the game and gave GM to his mum, who had been inactive for over a month prior. It's his mum's guild. Most everyone else eventually G-quit and either made their own guilds or transferred off the server. You guys see that iDubbbz video where he went to like Airsoft Fatty's house and it was just like the most bizarre thing that you can't even understand is like real people? I feel like this. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't think it's real. And then you see it and you're like, oh my god, really? This is the thing? This is a thing. At the time of writing this, there are only a handful of characters in that guild above level 40, post the level 90 squish, of course, and most of them are alts of Chaz and his mother. It had become a mum's guild, a fate worse than death. I don't think so. I think they're okay. I faction swapped to the Horde, changed my name, main swapped to a warrior, and switched servers after meeting someone who offered a raid spot in another realm. I left the server in ruins. I don't think you did. I had killed every relevant guild on Alliance. There weren't... Yours was the most powerful guild. It's a cesspool guild. Oh, only the cesspool guilds and single raiding guilds survived my fury. No, you didn't. I think you believe you did. I do. I think you believed you did. You didn't. No matter who you talked to, everyone in the realm knew who I was, and all of them hated me. I wouldn't get that. Discord wasn't a thing yet, and you used to be able to find people's IP addresses through Skype, so I would get spammed. Eventually, though, it did stop. You've wrote yourself a blurb. Bex, who audited this story, please tell me, for the love of God, our author wrote this blurb. I need to know. He wrote this. You did not write this. You promised me, Bex, you did not write this. Okay. Okay. He's wrote himself a blurb. Here we go. In the first age, in the first battle, when the shadows first lengthened, one stood, burned by the embers of dead guilds, his soul blistered by the fires of rated battlegrounds and tainted beyond ascension. He chose the path of perpetual torment. In his ravenous hatred he found no peace, and with boiling blood he scoured the LFG plains seeking vengeance against the GM who had wronged him. He wore the crown of the furries, and those that tasted the bite of his daggers named him the Guild Slayer. You just desecrated Doom. You desecrated Doom, my friend. There is no need for you or the audience to swing the gavel. I know I'm guilty. I did terrible things for dumb reasons, and I've put it all behind me now. The realm was eventually merged with one with a much higher population, so they're in good hands now. My furry friends stayed Alliance and transferred to Moonguard, because of course they did. My former RBG mates were scattered to the wind, though I do still keep in touch with some of them. I spent most of Warlords of Draenor wishing it wasn't WoD, but then when I wasn't doing that, I was raiding. I slowly transitioned away from PvP, and especially RBGs. In Legion, I swapped back to my rogue, joined a different guild, and got cutting edge and some exceptional passes. Now I await in the Shadowlands for my first raid with my brand new guild, ready to tear it up. Thank you for reading my story. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 2021! The guy learned nothing! You learned nothing! You learned nothing! Well, as it's 2021, let's throw in another story to sort of wash our mouths out from that scenario. Sweet Moses. I thought PvE is beneath him. He learned the ways. He learned the ways. All right. This sounds more fun. This sounds more fun. The title of this story is The Circus Goes to Uldaman. That sounds more friendly. I'm not doing a furry story. No thanks. I can't believe he just besmirched Doom. Am I saying it wrong? Uldaman? I think it's Uldaman. I'm going with Uldaman. That's how we're doing it. the first guilty of 2021. That's a true honor. Hello, Preacher, and the viewers of Drama Time. I've been watching a lot of your videos lately, ever since I discovered the video you posted about the Shadowlands fixing the lag problem in BFA. The dice roll, especially Drama Time. Full disclosure, I only started playing World of Warcraft just a little before Legion pre-patch. Or at least I assume it was before the pre-patch. I recall WoD's login being the first thing I ever saw upon booting up World of Warcraft for the first time. I've never actually raided in a current tier before, and I didn't even hit max level with a character until the Shadowlands pre-patch? Damn, you went almost all of Legion without capping a character. Interesting. So I'm, relatively speaking, very new to the game, and thus thankfully have never had first-hand experience with in-game toxicity beyond general chat in capital cities. Wow, general chat's on. Sick. The handful of times I peeked at the forums and endured the absolute garbage fire that was Battle for Azeroth's story, frankly, I dodged a bullet in not buying that trash expansion. I have to think I have at least mildly humorous short story to tell you. Good, because we need it after the last story. Let me set the scene for you. Let me paint a picture for you, ladies and gents. It is late summer 2020. 8.3 have been out for a while, praise be 8.3, and I was leveling a Pandaren monk and a Blood Elf Paladin in the US through pug dungeon grinding to suss out what class I would be interested in maybe raiding with in the Shadowlands. Because for my main for life, Warlocks sadly cannot heal or tank. So, you don't have to tank all the raids. Were I to end up deciding to make the expansion my real first expansion experience in Warcraft, in hindsight, I probably should have just used the PTR, but I didn't like the prospect of having to re-level everything from square one. Oh, God. It's not how the PTR works. You think... You don't have to do that. Okay, you just copy your character over. You only level once. It's all good. At the time, I had already singled out the monk as a healer. So now it was just a matter of whether or not I would use that monk for tanking as well. Or if that honor would go to the paladin, the DK, or the demon hunter. I can't play prot warriors. They hurt my fingers. And Guardian Druid felt like it had the survivability of a wet paper bag in a hurricane set on fire. Jesus. Prot warrior hurts your fingers? Thunderclap spam, I guess. But one day, I figured for shits and giggles, I'd give healing as a paladin one last shot to redeem itself. I tried to play Holy Paladin once back in Legion, and I was kicked out of the group I had joined within 5 minutes for sucking at it. Aww. It took you like 2 years to come back to that? No, 4 years, realistically. So I ticked the Q as healer button in addition to the tanking one. I queued for a random classic dungeon because I thought it would be faster. To my surprise, it immediately showed the confirmation window for Uldaman as a healer. Normally, it would take a while for me to queue as anything other than a tank. I clicked the confirm button, waited for the DPS to wake up and push their buttons as well, and we are off. How can this go wrong? It's just Uldaman. Uldaman can... No, this should be fine. The dungeoning began with me noticing that one of the DPSers, Jarkor, run off ahead of the entire group while the rest of us were still getting quests from the NPCs at the dungeon entrance. By the time either me or the tank had even noticed he had run off, Jarkor's portrait went grey, with the window reading dead. Not very surprising, but as soon as he released back to the dungeon entrance, he just ran off again in the same direction, with the rest of us trying to follow him. Jarkor died again. Oh, Jarkor. Despite my efforts to heal him. But we at least managed to get past the mobs and continue into the dungeon. However, as we progressed, Jarkor would continue to throw himself into the mobs by the entrance, only to die in an unending cycle of self-inflicted purgatory. Jarkor wasn't the only DPS acting strangely. Another DPS hadn't moved an inch since the dungeon had started, didn't even loot enemies. The pug kicked him, of course, and he was replaced by another guy. Unfortunately, I'm a noob whose feeble mind cannot comprehend this thinking man's button-pushy games unless I'm playing my Warlock main, Mistweaver Monk or a tank. So I attempted to heal as the Paladin always felt like I was on the verge of one mistake, one incorrect button press away from wiping the entire team and dooming the group completely. After almost every trash pack, we would have to hang back and wait for me to res one of the DPS players, not named Jarkor. Our tank, assigned the role of instance leader by RNGesus, and the third DPS of the original group were arguing the entire dungeon. The tank kept accusing him of ninja pulling, while the DPS insisted his innocence. Before we had even reached the Obsidian Sentinel, the tank had gotten fed up with the guy and had him vote kicked from the group. What is this group? The first DPS that appeared to replace him stood at the entrance for 10 seconds before just leaving the group, and it was a good 7 minutes before anyone arrived to fill that empty role, during which almost all of us just sat around. Except for Jarkor, who was still rezzing and dying near the entrance for the entire duration. Is that a bot thing so he can't get kicked? Is that what it is? At some point, we decided to empty out the tunnels leading to the Obsidian Sentinel. Can you not be kicked if you've been killed or something like that? 4 minutes in, our replacement DPS got tired of waiting and also left the group. Only to join back in after he had re-queued for another dungeon. Type shit and leave again. I've done that before. I've totally done that before. Oh man, it's so embarrassing, right? It's so embarrassing. The group's a disaster and you leave, you re-queue, and you go straight back in. Oh shit, dude. It's so awkward. You're like, oh my god. Well, I have to leave again, obviously. His spot was filled much quicker by someone, who I can only assume was a healer who had queued as DPS by accident. He attempted to try and keep Jarkor alive for 2 trash packs before giving up and abandoning him to join me in the tank instead. Once the 3rd DPS finally arrived, we pulled the Obsidian Sentinel. The boss died just before he could catch up to where we were. The DPS complained about us not waiting and left. So we sat around and waited half a minute to replace that other DPS. Yet another... Is anyone keeping up with this? Another next DPS to replace him, a rogue, demanded that he would only do this dungeon and not leave if we skipped to Arcadus, but was retorted with a vote kick that didn't pass. So we pressed forward. The rogue complaining the entire time that this was shit XP. A DPS would still die after almost every trash pack for some reason. The entire time as all this is happening, though, I haven't said a goddamn word. I've not typed anything. IRL, I was nervously laughing my ass off at what I was seeing. I honestly didn't know. Was this my fault? I'm not even sure. It could be, though, right? Maybe? Did I cause this? Was my terrible healing what had set this all off? Was Holy Paladin just a bad spec? Were they leaving once they saw that? At one point, both DPSs were dead and the tank was swearing up a storm in the instance chat with the DPSs. Apart from Jarkor, of course, all accusing each other of being shit players. You're shit. No, you are. Just before we got to the Trog boss, I finally piped up and simply typed in all lowercase, "Sorry." The tank cut himself off from his rant and said, "Don't worry, you're the only other person in this entire instance actually doing anything worth a shit." Oh, that's beautiful, man. We should put that in PG Christmas cards. And the 3 went back to arguing. I burst out in an uncontrollable fit of laughter. For once, a pug was failing, and it wasn't because of me. The next few... Wow. The next few trash packs are death-free and uneventful beyond the bickering and Jarkor still dying back at the entrance. Once the Trog boss is down, one of our DPS throws in the towel and just leaves the group, replaced by an elemental shaman who said nothing, never aggroed an enemy with his DPS, and just kind of got on with it. Just before we reach Arcadus, the dot on the minimap representing Jarkor stops moving. What's going to happen? I'm so intrigued what happens with Jarkor. I look over to his portrait, and sure enough I see the much dreaded, though maybe not in this case, red lightning bolt appear over his greyed out portrait. He had been disconnected. His portrait isn't removed from the group list until halfway into the boss, and his replacement arrives seconds after the boss dies. The new guy rushes to the boss's corpse to loot, grumbles about not finding what he was looking for, and leaves the group without even turning his quests in. The tank and the shaman leave as soon as they finish turning in their quests, so it's just me and Jarkor's replacement, who appeared to be AFK in the dungeon. Before I quit, he said... Before I quit the group, he said one phrase to me. "D's nuts." In the chat box before just leaving the group. I could barely breathe from the fit of laughter this entire session had put me in. I need to think of something. These nuts. Bye. I want to fast forward to today, though. After my Ultimate adventure. And the Shadowlands has basically reworked the classes in such a way that I have no interest in tanking as a paladin or a monk. You take that back. You disgust me. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me right now? You better get your shit together. You need to get your head and your ass working in tandem. You feel me? You need to sort that out. But both are in consideration for healing. And more importantly, they've made rogues fun again. Good luck with that. Anyway, thank you for reading my little story and a run of outdated leveling content on a server that I keep being told is definitely a dead server. I know, assassination or suicide watch. Rogues fun, hello. Good God almighty. D's nuts, praise be. Praise be to D's nuts. I have to go for dinner. But I do have the story that we'll start off with next week, which is entitled The 50 Deaths in 7 Halls of Atonement. Jesus Christ. 7? In a +7? What? I know. Well, that will be the first episode of drama for this season. Remember, in just under 3 hours, we will be sitting down with Echo and Complexity Limits in order to have a big chat about the World First Race and the high-end raiding scene. For all those of you who are interested in those things, it should be great. I will see you then. I'm going to go join my family for a little while. Not the 17-hour spires. That's too dramatic for me. Those guys who were doing that dungeon for like 12 hours are just insane. Other than that, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to Chris for making our wonderful new HD background, HD setup. And we look forward to adding many more wonderful things to this over the next 12 months. Have a great evening if you're not joining us later. But I hope to see you there. Bye-bye, everyone.